Do you want this to be like looking at the camera or like looking at you?
Look at the poppet socket.
Okay.
Because that's What's your name?
My name is Christian Berry.
And how old are you?
I'm 27 years old.
Okay. And who are you on a soul level?
Ooh, I mean, I guess my first go-to is on a soul level, I'm an alien. That's the response I usually get. I just have found that through the experiences that I've had in life, I tend to be an observer at my soul level, and I tend to watch a lot more than I participate. And I both love and hate those aspects about myself because the observation is great and I get to learn a lot about a lot of different people and a lot of different things, but then it's like perpetual FOMO, you know, you get sort of caught in this place where it's like, well, I want to participate, but you never really learn how to step into experience. You just sort of learn how to watch other people have the experience. So on a soul level, I'm definitely an observer, alien type, but I feel that the soul level in me is sort of trying to shift more towards the like life participant route, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. I'm going to give you 3 categories, and I want you to tell me what means the most to you and what means the least to you, or I guess what kind of like takes the front seat in your life. And then we'll just like go down the list.
Okay.
So the first category is love, sex, and relationships. The next category is society, culture, and politics. And the last category is spirituality and or religion. You can mix and match these, and obviously everything in your head that comes to your mind when you think of these words can also go in these categories. So we'll just start from like what's most important to you and then work our way down.
Oh my goodness.
I know,
wow.
loaded.
Seriously. Ooh, I mean, I feel like when I think about the categories in the grand scheme, all of them are sort of like catalysts for each other. In my life, at least. I mean, my instinct is to say spirituality and religion would be number 1 for me. But I think when I really dig a little deeper, it's probably the culture, culture, society, and politics. I think that's truly what drives me the most as an individual. I don't know necessarily about politics. I tend to, and I even hate saying this, but it's like politics really scare me, and I don't think that they're really doing anything for anyone at this point. And in a perfect world, I would love to just delete it and start over and do it for the people, actually. But
Yeah.
society and culture, I just feel like I've found myself in so many different spectrums inside of those 2 ideas. And like I grew up in the deep south in North Georgia and in the mountains, and while my culture there wasn't, I don't really know a word for it, but it was very specific. The lifestyle there was very specific. The old wives' tales that people told, the food that we ate, the land that we even still lived off of, like, it definitely shaped me in some way, but it also, in a bigger way, shaped me and showed me what I didn't want, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I think that experience was like, okay, this isn't ideal for me. But society, like when I was probably, I would say probably from the time that I was like 3 to 10, me, my mom, and my sister lived in like horrible like Section 8 housing areas and trailer parks and just like really, really bad places, and constantly getting robbed, like constantly sexual abuse all the time. Like it just wasn't a good place. And it's weird at this point in my life because when I tell people that, they would never guess that because I've hid that part of myself so deeply because I felt so much shame about it for so many years. But I think that's an interesting commentary on like status and class and all of those things. Like, while America may be developed in a lot of ways, there absolutely still is some sort of like subconscious class system that exists. And like,
For sure.
I mean, it's not even subconscious anymore. It's actually pretty blatant. And I feel like while I grew up in such terrible areas, I recognize at this point in my life that my skin color has gotten me out of those areas in a lot of ways, and that frustrates me, and it makes me really sad for the people that are not able to put on that like illusion and visibility mode and get out of the situations. And like I can put on like Abercrombie and Hollister when I was younger and put on like a different voice and blend in with all the rich kids. Like that was easy for me, but like it's just not for a lot of people, and that's just not fucking fair, you know, like that's not. And you know, I heard my whole life like, well, life's not fair, and it's like it should be though. Like, then what's the point, you know? Like, if people are born into the game of life already losing, then that's not fair. Like, then it's not a game; it's like a dictatorship. And like, I don't know. I've always found myself. I found myself, especially in college and in high school, being friends with people who came from a lot of money or people who came from very specific upbringings and their parents were in country clubs. I mean, even the person that I dated for 6 years and then married, his family was super, super, super wealthy. And that was a cycle broken for me, like being in a relationship with him for that long and then marrying him and then divorcing him. It's like, okay, I realized through all of this that isn't gonna make me happy ever, you know, like, because the people who live in the 1% and the people who live in such the higher up of society do not care about the people that are below them, and that is just a fact. And like, it's real and it's hard and it's cruel and they might be nice people, but like they do not care about the people who are suffering, because if they did, then they would give their money and not be in the 1%, you know, like. And you know, it's hard because every time that I've traveled, every time that I've been to another country, or every time that I've gone somewhere and had the opportunity to be outside of myself and experience a new culture, I find myself always traveling in a way that someone that lived there would exist in the town. Like, I try not to stay in like the fancy hotel or eat at the fancy restaurant. It's like I want to do the mom and pop stuff that's like what makes the place special. And my time doing that, I feel like I've found more understanding and compassion inside of something that someone would consider poverty, rather than the luxurious lifestyles of the 1%, you know, like. I feel like I've swung in and out of both worlds sort of unintentionally for a long time, and I always find myself navigating back towards just like the down home funk, you know, like the things that are just normal and natural. And I think like if people only knew, you know, if it were more known that it's like, just because like I hate that this belief that like not having a lot of money means that it's dangerous, or it's like more likely to be in crime, or more likely to do this and that. And it's like, maybe, you know, maybe there's more crime that's happening, but more crime is happening because these people are trying to fucking live, you know, they're trying to survive. Like, I was talking to someone the other day and she was like, yeah, I was involved in like a grocery store heist. Like, someone came into, or it was a gas station, someone came into the gas station and like robbed it when I was 19 and like held the guy at gunpoint. It was really scary. And I was like, the person that probably did that was probably just trying to feed their kids. Like, they were probably just trying to, like, no one robs a gas station to go and buy like Gucci slides. Like, they're trying to survive. Like, they're trying to exist. And it's so fucked up that like this is what people have to do just to get by. Like, I don't know, it like sends me in a spiral, and I get to this point where it's like, how can I help? You know, like what can I do as an individual at this point? And it's like, I mean, I think awareness is our most powerful tool, and even like heightened observation, allowing yourself to be in this place of like, I mean, I don't know. And I mean, as like a gay person living in the world, that's a whole other like layer to the story of society. Like, it's such a cruel world sometimes, like the places that we are and the places that we live, it's so painful and so hard, and I feel like we've become so numb to so many things, and it feels impossible some days to wake up and be even like remotely optimistic about tomorrow. But I feel like that's the trap, you know, that's the trap. To wake up in despair every single day is to lose, is to not be a part of the change, you know. And like I feel like while I've suffered my own things, there's someone around the corner that has suffered 50 times harder than I have. And while I'm not in the business of like comparing pain and grief, certainly not.
Yeah.
It does matter, like, to know that A, you're not alone, and B, that you still have the energy to fight for someone else, you know, like, yes, like I said, I've experienced pain and suffering, but like I can still wake up in the morning and go to work and do my thing, and that means that I can speak up for someone else, and that I can be something for someone in a moment. And yeah, I don't know, I think that's why, like, the negative aspects of society and culture are the things that make me sick to my stomach. Those are the things that light my absolute fire up. And I feel like the interesting part of that is like I engage with those ideas through spirituality and religion, and I find myself correcting those things through love and relationships. Like I find that the root of it all is how we function as humans in society and culture. And then the other two are sort of like sister things that come in and sweep the same thing. Like, I think magic can change the world. I think that the ideas of spirituality and like, I almost hate saying that because there's nothing that I hate more than like, just believe and like it will happen. And it's like, no, that's not gonna happen for some people. Like, just believe that you're abundant, you'll make more money. It's like, no, that's not if you're living in a society where you're literally systematically oppressed. Like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
You have so many things like fighting against you at that point. And
right.
I don't know. I think realism is what I find myself in right now. I think realism is the thing that's actually making change for not only myself but for the world. The people who are being real about what's actually happening. And yeah, we can be pissed and we can fight and we can do all of these things. Let's do it. Like, that's great to be intense about it. That's an amazing thing. But we can't live in that forever. You know, we can't swing so far into the anger excess that we're always angry and our lives are getting ruined because we're angry. You know, be angry and be pissed and let that light a fire, but then swing to the change, you know, swing to the other side of it. That's like, okay, let's actually have active change now. Let's not be in like passive anger, you know, let's make a shift and like make it happen. And unfortunately, like, I understand at this point with politics and society and culture that it's just a long con. It's just people like buying time to fuck everything up. Like, every day that I look around and like the Trump administration, I'm like, this is an alternate reality. Like, this cannot be. Like, I can't even believe that this is happening, but it is. And every time in history that people say that and they don't do something about it, something really fucked up happens. So, and it's literally happening before our eyes right now, and everyone cares about an Area 51 meme. I'm like, it's really unfortunate. But it's all a big metaphor. It's like I think someone told me yesterday, they were like, yeah, my mom's actually like really scared that people are gonna raid Area 51. I was like, what? No, like, this is literally a social experiment to see if people are going to care about Area 51 and not the kids in like border concentration camps right now. Like, this is the whole point of that, but like no one is speaking up on the actual issue. They're spending time on like Area 51 aliens. Like, it makes no sense to me how people get so off track so hard,
easily.
so easily. Like, you're just waiting to be fooled, and it's like everyone's calling people like sheeple now. I'm like, because we are, like, we're so easy, unless you're not that type of person, and I like to believe that I'm not, but like the majority is. Like, these are the people that like still watch the cable television shows every single night, and they eat their dinner on like dinner TV trays, and they buy all of their groceries at Walmart, and it's like, that exists because it had to at some point, but it doesn't need to anymore.
Right.
So it's now like purging the poison in some. And look, there's no shame to the people that live that life. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want them to feel bad about themselves, but it's like, know that that's not efficient anymore. Know that that's not. If that is associated with hatred for a specific community based off of something that they cannot change, then, like, if you sit at home watching America's Got Talent every single night, but you're racist as fuck, that can't work. Like, you should get that taken away. Like, that's not how it works. Like, there's no reason, there's no rhyme, there's nothing. Like, but unfortunately, so many things just, like, exist that way. So many things just are because it's been passed down generationally, or someone lives in an area where, like, that's just the norm, and so they just do it because everyone else is doing it, and then suddenly 5 generations have passed, and here we are, you know?
Right.
Wow. That'll get me fired up for sure.
I know you kind of wrapped like love and relationships and spirituality and religion into that, but is there anything else you want to say on either one of those topics before we move on?
Love and relationships have been a very tricky topic for me probably my whole life. And it was love, sex, and relationships, right? Okay, yeah. Like, sex is an important aspect in that, and that's something that I've really, really, really dug into this year specifically. I mean, I'll say it right off the bat, like, I'm a sexual abuse survivor. Like, it happened to me many, many times in my childhood, and before I ever should have known what sex was. I mean, I'm talking like 6, 7 years old. And these are some of the first memories that I genuinely remember and, like, the forefront of my brain. It's very vivid, it's very specific. I know where, when, how, why, who. And that has greatly informed my sexual life. Like, it has greatly informed how I have existed. And I think the intro to my sexuality was in the coverage of shame. You know, obviously I was straight for a long time, especially in high school, and I dated women, and I tried really, really hard for that to be the way that it was for me, but it just always wasn't. Like, and I think the big thing that I've struggled with the most, and this is hard to say, but, like, the question that I've asked myself over and over and over again over the years is, like, am I gay because I was sexually abused by a man? And that was, I think I'm finally at the place now where, like, my therapist has basically convinced me that that wasn't the case. Like, I've talked a lot with her about it, and there's still, and I'll be honest, like, there's still a part of me that thinks that all the time, and it doesn't live in shame or fear anymore. It just lives in curiosity. It's like, I always have wondered what would my life have looked like had that never happened? Like, how would I have developed had that not ever happened? And I try in my head and I think of memories prior to the abuse, I guess, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I was, like, still wearing my sister's, like, Cinderella dresses and stuff like that. Like, I'm pretty sure there were still signs that, like, it was that, but I don't know, like, as I got older and as I grew up, like, I found myself wanting to keep my sexuality in the dark. I felt that I wanted it to be, like, under the covers and, like, very hidden. And even when I was in college, like, I came out my senior year of high school, and that was a huge deal. I was quite literally the only gay person at my high school, and so the only way that I could be who I wanted to be was to be so mean about it. Like, I had to be the mean girl of the high school, because if I knew I had already been bullied within an inch of my life, like, all throughout school, like, my nickname in high school was Fairy Berry, like that's what everyone called me. And I was like, when I came out, I was like, I need to come back to school the baddest bitch of them all this year. And I did. And I ran my high school my senior year and nobody fucked with me. But it's like then I leave high school and I remember how mean I was to so many people just to protect myself. And it's so necessary sometimes to be there. It's so necessary to like have to protect yourself. It's sad that that's the case, but like I'd rather have protected myself than have been like shoved in a locker and having the shit beat out of me after school. Like I'd rather just do that to be safe. And I think as I got older and you know the one really dramatic piece of it is like the first one night stand that I ever had was the summer between my freshman and sophomore year of college. And I literally had like downloaded Grindr, which is like the gay dating app, and I met up with this person in a hotel room and I was really nervous and anxious about it, and it was totally fine. Like I was safe, even though I could not have been, but I was safe. And afterwards I got in my car and I was driving home and I was just sobbing because I felt like so disgusting about the whole thing. And I tried to call my mom, and because not that I was going to tell her details, but it was just, I just wanted to hear a familiar voice in that moment. And literally as I was calling her, my phone died. And I got back to my place that I was staying that night and I plugged my phone in and fell asleep and woke up to the phone call that she had died the next morning. So it was a weird strain of events that led me to shut down my sexuality in a lot of ways, because my first thought when I heard the call was like, this is punishment for doing that. This is punishment for having a one night stand. This is punishment for having unprotected sex. This is punishment for all of these things, and the punishment for being a gay person. Like, and so I just felt this internalized fear and shame well up so deep, and I could feel the walls being like stacked up inside of me, being like, all right, shutting it down, like operation's done, we're closed, like put a lock on it, it's done. And I met the person that I dated for 6 years, like 6 months after that happened. And I was with him for 6 years, and our sex life was horrifying. Like, it was just so scary. And I don't say that in a way that has anything to do with him. It was all me. Like, it was all like my own internal things, but it often turned into him wanting to have sex and me not wanting to have sex, and then there was an emotional response from him that made me feel like shit. And then it's like, where do you go? You know, where do you go when you're in that place now where you're so full of shame that you could literally vomit? And it's like, I hate my sexuality so much. I want to bury it so deep. I want nothing to do with it. And like, there were a few moments over those 6 years, like with him, and learning to love and also feel safe physically and not feel like, I just felt a lot throughout my life that when I've been around people, especially other gay men, that their first instinct is to be like, I want to fuck him, or I want to have sex with him, or I want to do something with him. And it never gets past that, you know, it never gets past the physicality or the sexuality. And that has always like broken my heart, because I like to think that I have like a good mind and a good heart, and like I want people to know that too. And so then it's like those experiences translate into like personal resentment and self-resentment and self-hatred, and like suddenly I look in the mirror and I absolutely can't stand like what I see. And like, God, it's been such a strange domino effect, like having an adult sexual life that I feel content with. And I feel like I'm just now, literally just now at 27 years old, feeling like I can have safe, consensual sex with someone, even if it's someone that I just met. Like, I'm finally stripping off the shame layer of it, I think, and I'm learning that like it's okay. Like, at the end of the day, it's just okay. Like, you're safe. And if you're not, then then address that when it's happening. But I try as hard as I can to not live in the hypothetical, which is like me thinking every time I have a sexual experience with someone that I'm gonna get raped. Like that has been a huge thing for me. I'll immediately like clam up and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Like, and then I just like muscle through it and sob afterwards, you know, like, and that's been like, yeah, like trigger warning ahead. Like that's been my experience. It's been violent. Sex has been violent. It has been manipulative. It has been based in a lot of power and control. And like the quote that comes to mind is everything in life is about sex except for sex, and sex is about power. And I think about that a lot, and I think about that probably every day, especially if I'm having a sexual experience with someone. And I'm trying to reframe that. I'm trying to, I don't know, I guess change that narrative. But it's like at the end of the day, I also think, I'm like, we're animals. Like, we are just incredibly intelligent animals. And like, the biological need to have sex is there. But it's like, then I translate it into like gay culture, where it's like, we're not trying to biologically have a baby. So like, there really isn't any point other than pleasure to do that. Yeah. And I think with everyone is sort of trying to figure out how to have sex for pleasure and it not be like you're having a baby. Like, I mean, I honestly feel like really fortunate in a lot of ways that I am not a woman, because I would be so horrified all the time about like getting pregnant. Because that is the absolute last thing that I want right now, is to have a child. Like, I'm doing me right now. Like, I want to figure out what the fuck I'm doing.
Same.
Yeah, you know, like, that's such an intense thing. And like, I don't know. But then it's like, for me, it's like I'm always thinking about like, what if I go get tested and I find out that I have HIV? Like, what the fuck do I do? And
that's heavy too.
And you know, there's medications now. Like, I take Truvada, and like, it's 98% effective, whatever the statistic is. But like, I don't know, like, I feel like there's so much fear around sex. Like, it's such a scary thing. And like, I honestly feel, this might sound weird, but I honestly feel best in sexual situations where I am with someone who also feels scared about sex. Because it's like, you can sort of be like, okay, we both feel scared, but we both know there's no reason to feel scared. So it's like, okay, like, let's actually explore each other in a way that we actually want to be explored, rather than getting like thrown down on a bed and having your face like shoved in a pillow. Like, that might be hot in like a fantasy realm, but at the end of the day, when it's actually happening, do not fucking do that to me. That will send me into a trigger spiral like so fast.
Yeah.
But then then I think about the fantasy realm and like the fetish realm and all of those things, and like porn and like all the things that I've watched and seen and like, and honestly like gotten off to, like, it's all very reminiscent of like the trauma that I've been through. And I think like pain and pleasure are so intricately linked in like some bizarre way. And like, I think it's really healthy to sort of unpack that. And like, it's so painful, like, grieving the loss of my mother and grieving the loss of my sexuality are the two hardest things I've ever done, like, without a doubt in my mind. And reclaiming the sexuality has been the most empowering thing I've ever done. And I think now, like, in a weird way, like, I started working out really intensely this year, and I started going to the gym a lot, and there was a part of me that started doing it because I had just left my ex and I was single for the first time in a long time, and I knew that I was going to be having casual sex with people, and I wanted to be stronger so that if anything ever happened again, I could fuck someone up. And I'm sad for that was a reason, but it's also just a reality, and I don't think that there's any point to not live in reality at this point, even if it's painful. I mean, I feel weird saying that out loud, because it's like, I want to be optimistic and I want to be like, just manifest it and make it, but it's like, it's not like that. Like, you can manifest for yourself. You cannot bend other people's will. If someone is wanting to hurt you, they're going to try and hurt you.
Yeah.
No matter what protection spell you put around yourself. And I try and do it all the time. I try and protect myself all the time, and absolutely it works. But at the end of the day, like, your will is your own will, and like, it is the most important thing to be intuitive and to understand, like, the gut, when you feel a gut feeling about someone, to recognize it and acknowledge it right away, rather than excusing a red flag and jumping into a situation like that. Like, love, relationships, and sex in a big nutshell, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is, like, the second you see a red flag, stop and go. Like, do not make an excuse. Do not say, well, maybe it was this. It's like, no, it was a red flag and you were triggered intuitively, immediately.
Right.
So stop. Like, don't go into a relationship with that person, because the chances of that red flag coming up again are 100% likely. And yeah, compromise and, like, understanding that people do things the way that they're gonna do them, and, like, they grow and shift in a relationship. I got it. Like, it's fine. Like, that's a whole different story. But at the end of the day, is that really what's best? Is, like, do you really want to spend the rest of your life compromising with someone who doesn't really want to change? Like, and I literally married someone like that, and I love him still. My heart will always have him in there, but, like, my life has to go on, you know.
Right.
I have to grow and be an adult and expand and become whoever I think I'm supposed to be, and I feel like I'm getting there, but it wouldn't have happened inside of a relationship where I was constantly being sexually triggered, I was constantly being emotionally triggered, constantly being physically triggered. You're not going to heal if you're in pain. Like, that's, someone told me that once, and, like, it's not going to happen. There's absolutely no way. So I think it's really healthy to remove, even if it's the hardest thing you've ever had to do, to remove the things that are constantly causing you pain, even if they're supposed to cause you joy. Like, there is no supposed to, you know, it's only what's happening. And if it's causing you pain, then it's causing you pain.
That was awesome.
Love is love.
That
We
was
love
so
love.
Amazing. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna get you to draw.
Okay.
So I want you to pick colors that make you happy, that remind you of yourself and the things that you love, and then just tell everybody, like, why you pick the colors that you pick. And you can pick as many as you want. Like, there is no limit.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna get you to draw, like, whatever you want throughout the rest of the interview, and then at the end you'll just show what you drew. Like, exfoliate.
Why are you being so all up in my face today?
Are there food places around here? I've, like, haven't
Oh, yeah,
eaten
there are
all
a
day.
ton.
Like, I should definitely.
What do you want, like a sandwich?
Probably, like, something close so I don't, like, die as soon as I step out.
Yeah, there's a really great place, like, walking distance across the block called Parker and Otis. They have amazing sandwiches and stuff.
I'll definitely walk over there.
Wow, such an interesting exercise picking colors.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's so, like, takes you back to, like, 5.
I know, like primary colors.
Yeah.
I'm going for a rainbow spectrum.
Okay.
Red, orange, yellow, green,
Like Roy G. Biv.
blue, indigo, violet. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I feel content with that.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
And you can just, like, oh, do you want to go through each color, or do you just want to?
I'll just say I picked a rainbow spectrum.
Sweet. So, yeah, just draw whatever you want to. And then, and if you, like, stop and talk, it really doesn't matter. Nobody ever finishes, so don't feel like you must finish this, like, beautiful masterpiece.
I'm literally so bad at drawing.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a whirl.
Okay. So the first question, do you have any pet peeves?
Oh God. Okay. So I have this very strange auditory disorder called misophonia.
One of my good friends has that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. It's something that I've had for quite some time, and it brings up an intense pet peeve around. I don't even know if it's a pet peeve. It's just like it drives me absolutely nuts when people chew food with their mouth open. Drives me absolutely mad.
Yeah,
and
gum is her thing.
Oof.
Yeah.
Like if I'm in a grocery store and someone's like popping gum, I have to absolutely remove myself from the situation. Like I don't go to the movie theater because I cannot stand hearing people eat popcorn in the movie theater. It drives me absolutely insane. But that being said, like it's been a really interesting journey learning how to like cope with that and learning how to like put myself in situations. But that's definitely a pet peeve. And I would say another one that really comes to mind hard is people who, I don't really know if this is even a pet peeve, but I can't stand the like very shallow conversations about like, where did you go to school and like what did you do? Like,
yeah,
that's not where I'm at right now. Like I just don't think that I have the capacity to do that anymore.
for sure. I feel you. What excites you more than anything? Like what makes you really happy?
Ooh, what excites me more than anything? This might sound kind of weird, but I feel very excited in situations where, I don't know if it's something specific, but it's just, I feel excited when I meet someone that sees me fully, if that makes sense. Like, I feel a lot of joy in being understood for all of my quirks and all of my like very specific life patterns. Like, I don't know. I always like explain myself as like very complicated to people, and I don't think that I am all that complicated, but I know that like the stories that I've already told on this like tend to make me, I don't know. I'm not gonna say that I'm complicated. That feels like almost like degrading to myself, but I just know like my interests are expansive, and there's a lot of like things inside of my brain that I am constantly intaking to be a functioning human. And when I meet someone and they just automatically get it, even if they don't get it in full, like down to the words, they just know that like I'm fine. That brings me a lot of joy. That I don't have to explain myself, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. What are you afraid of, if anything?
Ooh, I'm very afraid of sharks.
Okay.
That's very specific.
I heard they're like near, like down here. Like are they at the beach? Are they like Myrtle Beach? And
yeah, like there have been
the...
quite a number of shark attacks because the water has been so warm this summer. And I grew up on the coast in a lot of ways. My grandparents live in coastal South Carolina, and I spent a lot of time there. I don't know. I don't know what about it really freaks me out. But I think in like a metaphorical way, it's like I'm scared of like walking into the home of something else and then getting like the shit kicked out of me. You know, it's like like being in the ocean as a human is a complete invasion of all of these sea animals, and like, but it's like that's a luxury for us to be able to like go to the beach and like do that.
And
like
be in their space.
Yeah, and just be in their space without thinking twice about it. Like, I don't know, something about like the movie Open Water when they get the boat leaves them and there's absolutely
terrifying.
not, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think I just found a new fear of mine since you covered
Right?
that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say another thing that comes to mind, and I think that's kind of similar to that, is like I was always really, really horrified of like abduction, both alien and human.
Yeah.
More so alien, because I don't know. I remember watching the movie Signs when I was younger. That like, oh my god, that shit used to scare the hell out of me. Like,
yeah, that was creepy.
Aliens could like blend in with the wall, and they would take no.
Make a face that explains you. Like if you were a facial expression, what would it be?
Probably the one eyebrow raise.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like I'm always like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm always like assessing things, and
Yeah.
that's my like ooh, and I ooh, like that's my like assessment phase. That's like, okay, this is off, but we're gonna like let it unfold and see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's also the face that I make to friends if we're like out at a bar and they're like, I really like this person and like they're really cool, and I'm like, and I look at that person, and that's my way of like, my animalistic way of being like, don't fuck with them.
Right.
Like, this
Think
is a friend.
twice.
Yeah, think twice before you come for them. Like, treat them like kings and queens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. What is your favorite song right now?
Ooh. Music is a huge part of my life. I absolutely love music. I'm listening to it all the time. I'm really loving Rosalia is like a big mood for me. She has this song called Millionaire, I think that's the name of the song.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even in English, but like it's such a bop. And she just keeps saying like fucking money, man, like the whole song, and I'm like, that's such a mood. But the other one would probably be that girl group Haim, Haim. I think that's how you say their name. I don't really know, but off of their first, I recently got into their first album. I remember listening to it a long time ago, but there's a song on it called If I Could Change Your Mind, and it's also a bop, but like lyrically it's really beautiful at the same time. So probably those two.
Okay. Explain to me what social media is to you.
Oof. Okay. Like a specific social media or just in general?
Just in general, what you think about it.
I think social media is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the experience that has been curated through social media, I think that before social media ever came out, there should have been a training course on how to use social media and how to emotionally use social media.
Yeah.
Because I think that like it just came out and like we have adapted to this. I mean, it's like I think about the kids that are getting like cyberbullied and like committing suicide because of social media, and it's like, whoa, like that was never supposed to happen, you know? But this is the social media and the internet and things like that. It is quite literally another world. Like it is a whole other like plane of existence for people to live on. I mean, people have entire identities on social media that they don't have in like
real life.
Yeah, and on this plane. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So I think that like it's a very profound tool that has connected a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it will continue to, and I think that it will grow and expand, and I think we will probably at some point in human history be in a place of total cyber connection.
Yeah.
I just wish it would stop like hurting people. I wish that people would, and I'm saying this, I'm preaching this to myself right now, like the need for validation that has come out of social media and the desire to be liked and commented and like just seen. It's everyone's desire to be seen, but now they're doing it through the lens of the internet. And you know, it's funny because like the business that I work in and even the business that I co-own, like we thrive on social media. Like that is where we make most of our money. Like that is the whole point, you know, it's marketing and it's business.
Right.
But then it's like I have my own social media, which is my own personal social media, and I'm not making money and doing, well, I guess I am in some capacity, but like it's mostly just personal. It's a gallery of my life for people to see.
Yeah.
And while I think it's relatively authentic to how I actually live, it's still so curated. It's still so edited. It is still so, I can be as vulnerable as I want, but it's still the internet, you know, it's still social media. And I think it's amazing. I'll say that. I think it's really beautiful. I hope that people can continue to also, like as much as they nurture the internet, as much time as they spend on social media, I wish that they could spend with themselves as well. You know, I wish that they could put that same amount of time back into self-love and feeling healthy and making themselves dinner or whatever they want to do, going to the gym or going to therapy or whatever. Like, whatever just makes you feel alive and well. Because the internet may do that, and it may provide that platform to feel connected, but at the end of the day, it's still the internet, and it's not, I don't know, I don't even think I can say it's not real anymore, because it is. Like, it's a totally real world. Like, people are living and giving on the internet, but it's not the only world. We still exist.
Yeah.
We're not just like formless thought bubbles yet.
Yeah.
We might be at some point.
Do you have any weird habits?
Weird habits.
And if you don't have any like ones you consider weird, do you have just any habits in general?
Any habits in general? I don't know if this is very weird, but I actually noticed this the other day, that when I shower and when I like take a shower, I probably for my whole life, I do the exact same routine in the shower. I put shampoo in my hair, I wash the shampoo out, I put conditioner in my hair, I wash my body, I wash my face, I wash the conditioner out. Like, it's the same pattern. It never differs. It never, actually, that's kind of weird that we do that, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like in my mind it's like, well, this is the most efficient way to shower. The conditioner has to stay in your hair for this amount of time.
That's the point.
That's the point. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like in times like if I've had someone over and like we've showered together or something, and like that plan gets messed up, I'm like, get the fuck out of the shower. Like I have to
like do my thing.
keep the conditioner in my hair.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, that might be a little weird for some people, but hey, what can you do?
Share an embarrassing moment. And it can be
my
past,
goodness.
present, whatever you want.
Okay, embarrassing moment. Oh, there were quite a few. Okay, this one's really like kind of heartbreaking and sad, but not really. So when I was in high school, probably like my freshman and sophomore year, I tried really hard to be like, I played sports, I tried really hard to be like straight, and I like loved girls, and it was like the way it was for me, and like I went to, no one at my high school really threw like house parties, like no one ever did anything like that, but my best friend in high school, her name was Jordan, and her mom was a single mom, and she worked as like a nurse late night, so occasionally she would have people over at her house, and we would like drink like Arbor Mist or some shit, like something disgusting, some poison. And so we were outside, like her mom lived in like a townhouse community, and so we were outside like sitting on her driveway, and like a couple of other like jocks came over, and everyone was like slapping hands, like doing the thing, and someone was like, let's throw a football around, and I was like, oh god, I hate this, but like I'm gonna participate because this is like the guys that I need to like keep up. And so someone threw the football to me, and I was running backwards to catch it, and I caught it, and I turned around and smashed my face into a mailbox, like right into, and literally like clotheslined me like back onto the ground. And yeah, bloody nose, like a busted lip, like I'm lucky I didn't break my nose or lose a tooth, like that was really nice, but that was a sad like pride moment, and I think in that moment I was like, I need to stop doing this. I need to stop.
Like, I think I'm done.
I need to stop trying to catch footballs because I hate it every time that it happens, and I always end up hurting myself. So yeah, that, and then I picked up theater very quickly after that, and that was the end of my sporting career.
Yes. Do you look up to anyone? That's a really weird question. I don't know how to answer that. I feel like I've looked up to quite a few people, but I think at this point in my life, I don't. Honestly, like my grandfather who passed away about 4 years ago was
very much like a father figure for me. And I definitely looked up to him in a lot of ways, but after he passed, I found out a lot of things about him that were like very misogynistic and very sort of self-serving, and I was like, wow, the person that you presented to me, I looked up to, but the person you actually were, I don't look up to.
Right.
So that was a weird shift, and I think at this point, I am trying as hard as I can to look up to myself and to really engage with like I have this theory about ghosts and about like experiences where you think someone's watching you. I feel like it's our future selves looking back at our present selves. And I want to look up to that person. I want to look up to that person who is figuring shit out and they're on the other side of their life having figured a bunch of stuff out. Of course I'm inspired by people, and of course I hear and read and like study things that I'm inspired by, but as like a baseline individual, no, I don't think that I look up to anyone right now. And that may change, and I'm open for it to change, but I feel like I can say at this point, like, I'm really proud of myself, and I want to look up to a person that I'm going to be even more proud of, who is 10 years down the line and is doing the damn thing, I guess.
Hell yeah. Very open-ended question. What's missing?
What's missing? I feel like some courage is still missing for me. I have heard the calling to tell my story in full. And it's like, even this is not even the full, so I've told a lot of stories, but like those are just the ones that I've rehearsed really well.
And that's why they sound so good.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the ones that I've told often, and those are the ones that I am comfortable enough to tell people, but there are a lot of stories that I want to tell, because I think that there are a lot of experiences that I've been unfortunately fortunate enough to have to be able to speak about, that I've survived, and that I've been able to be like, okay, I'm here. But I don't feel brave enough yet to tell them. I don't feel strong enough yet to tell them. And I don't feel eloquent enough to tell them in a way that is going to actually be helpful, rather than just like listen to my sob story, you know, like. And that has always been a fear for me, of telling stories about my life, is like, I don't want this to be like, look at my tragedy. Like, I don't want anyone to be like, wow, you really made it out, or like, I can't believe you're, like, my grandmother said to me once, and it fucking broke my heart, and I don't think she meant it this way, but after my mom passed away, I spent a lot of time talking with her about the real terror of what happened, because she didn't know. I mean, she knew a very glazed over version, but not an actual truth, and she was like crying and so upset hearing all the stories of like abuse and like sexual violence and all this stuff, and she just said, she was like, wow, I can't believe you made it out as normal as you did. And I was like,
Fuck.
I was like, wow, that's really fucked up, but you're right. You know, I can't believe it either. Like, and I think the first time that I told her about the misophonia thing, how much it bothered me, her response was like, I knew you'd have something. I knew you'd have something. And I was like, that really hurts, but you know, it hurts because there's some level of truth inside of that, and I will be honest and say that, like, a lot of the hearing aspects have been very trauma induced, and I want to feel proud. I want to feel proud of my story, and I want to feel proud of my family and my history, even though they've been such horrible people at so many times in my life. But that requires me to look at the story and know that like everyone was just doing the best that they could, including me. And I think like my desire to want to tell, and my desire to want to speak to what has happened has always been because I wanted to save someone else from going through something similar, or I want to be able to help them, because I felt so alone navigating it when I was growing up. I felt so alone navigating how to be confident and have courage even though you've been through hell, you know, like that felt impossible to me when I was young. So courage feels, a specific level of courage feels like it's missing. Courage to be my full gay magical self all the time, courage to heal from trauma, courage to make sure that I don't get myself into another cyclical pattern with other abusive people. Like, it's a lot. Courage really covers. And I just went on a trip last weekend and we made these little bracelets, and they're like little mantra bracelets that we beaded. And the one thing that I said over and over again as I was weaving this was courage. I kept saying that to myself. I want to be more courageous, to just be myself and to live the life that I know that I'm supposed to.
Last question, and I give everyone the same scenario. So, the question is, what do you have to say to the world? So if everything like shut down, but like the phones, the TV, the computers, they're all on, and it's like PSA, public service announcement, and then it's your face, and everybody like sees you, like what are you saying to everyone?
Damn.
Right?
Okay, yeah, I get grounded for this one. I think I would tell people oh God, okay, I think I would say something along the lines of everything that's happening, both good and bad in the world, is the collective effort of every single person on the planet right now. The good people contribute to the bad, and the bad people contribute to the good. And that I hope that knowing that and understanding that in a way that is full of conviction and belief should lead us to more compassion, because at the end of the day, oneness is really the only thing that matters. Like connection and unity, like we will always have differences. Everyone will always wake up every single day and be different from the person next door. That will never change. There will always be leaders, there will always be followers, there will always be pain, there will always be pleasure. But we have to stop being such creatures of excess all the time about everything. Like, we have to stop eating to the point of obesity. We have to stop starving ourselves to the point of death. Like, there's everything that we're doing in excess is a coping mechanism of not confronting the pain that we've been through. You know, it's like someone absolutely eating themselves to throwing up is the same thing as someone binge drinking themselves to throwing up. Like, it's all the same thing, and it all summons the same response. And I think that there is a lot of collective pain, both ancestrally and generationally, that has accumulated, and it all gets put on the backs of the people that are alive right now. And so first things first, like, everyone collectively needs to forgive themselves. Everyone needs to forgive themselves specifically. We can forgive all the people who have done whatever to us, but it's like we need to forgive ourselves for allowing ourselves to be in that position in the first place. And that's something I've actually thought about for a really long time, is like, I feel like everyone is seeking an apology from someone who has wronged them, whether it is a past, whether it is a future person, whether it is a present person. And I think that if there can be collective forgiveness for all of it, if we can all make a collective decision to just move the fuck on, then we can actually start over and we can actually get to a point where people can be equal. Like, and equality is a hard thing to me because it's like, I don't know if people, this is gonna come out weird, but I said this the other day, I think that equality should exist inside of opportunity. I think that everyone should have equal opportunities to do everything. No one should get more of an opportunity because of how they look, because of where they were born, because of who they were born to. But at the end of the day, equality, both the individual equality is always going to be difficult because people are going to be born physically with more strengths than someone else or more weaknesses than someone else. You know, if someone has super pale skin, they're not going to be able to be in agriculture and work outside all the time. Like, it's not going to be, that's not going to work. But like, I think that we just need to understand and be comfortable with what we do and what we do best, and also be able to do the things that we don't do best. You know, it just, none of it fucking matters. You know, it's not that deep. Nothing is that deep at the end of the day. We're just animals alive on this planet, and it's like, the goal is to be safe and healthy and happy. So be safe, healthy, and happy. If you are some aggressive, insane racist that just like can't sleep at night, then go live in the mountains somewhere away from people. Like, get away from people and go live your life in solitude. I'm not gonna waste my energy trying to change you anymore, because you will die at some point and then we won't have to worry about it. Like, as harsh as that sounds, like, there's no, I don't think there's any use in us spending all of our energy in trying to change the people that don't want to change, because they're not going to. Let's inspire the people that do want to change. Let's have unity in the people that want unity. Let's forgive the people that want to be forgiven and the people who want forgiveness. Like, I'm tired of wasting time on people that don't want my time, and that people that don't want to hear what I have to say or what I do, and I'd rather spend the energy to the people that do want to. And I think as a collective decision, we should all do that. Like, let's put our energy towards the people that actually want the energy. Like, if you're working a dead-end job where your manager fucking hates you, then leave. Go do something else. There are a million bazillion opportunities, and I say that so lightly because I know how difficult it is to be in a job that's paying the bills, and it's like allowing you to exist and survive in a specific way. But is it worth it to be unhappy? That's the question that I pose. Is it worth it to be unhappy? And if your answer is yes, then great. But I guarantee it's no. Like, I'd rather be happy and without than unhappy and with, I guess. And that's hard to say, because being without is painful, and that's a scary place to be. But you're never without if you're happy. It all lines up. And this is when spirituality comes into play with me. It's like, if you are aligned and your heart is full and you are free and you've forgiven yourself and you've understood this idea of letting love come into your life as it's going to, and there's no attachment or expectation to how things are going to unfold, then typically life looks a lot brighter. Typically there's a lot of opportunity that can come along from that, and I feel like your own gifts unfold in that way. But it does take a long time to get to that mindset. It does take a lot of effort and a lot of energy to get there. But as a collective, if I'm speaking to the audience in this moment, it's like, let's make therapy free for everyone so that we can all fucking get our shit together and live a better life. Like, we all deserve to. I said earlier, it's like, I want to live the life that I think I deserve to live. It's like, everyone should. Everyone should. If someone thinks that they should be a millionaire, then they should be. But it's like, we should always work hard. We should always push ourselves. We should always live in truth. We should always strive to have the most profound connections with people that we can. But forgiveness, that's the thing that keeps coming to mind. Like, we have to learn to forgive if we're ever going to move forward. And that's the only rule. There are no other rules in the universal tickings of time. Like, the only rule is to move forward. We can look back, we can have nostalgia, we can be in the earshot of like the present and the past at the same time, but like, move forward. Take a step forward. Look for a second, deep breath, move forward. Like, just keep going.
Yeah.
We have to. Biologically, we have to. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Oh my god, thank you. I drew some like weird Rugrats thing.
Yeah, let me see it, because it looks cool from this angle, but...
Let me finish it, draw a few more circles. Alright. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but that's my...
Oh, hold it up for the camera. Oh, I like it.
Yeah,
That is like a Rugrats like aesthetic for sure.
I know, it really is. It's like some Clarissa Explains It All moment.
Can you sign it for me?
Yes, absolutely. I'll sign with the one color I didn't use. Perfect. This is Christian in the flesh.